welcome back to Tide Talk. It's Sunday, November 24th. We're back to talk Eastern Conference champion RIFC's 3-0 defeat in the USL Championship Final, the season as a whole, and what to expect heading into next year. So cozy up, crack a bear. Let's dive into this one. Just a reminder, each episode is available on YouTube. And if you're watching now, please take a second to subscribe to the channel and click the like button on this video. You can also find us on your favorite podcast applications like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you listen to one of those, we'd really appreciate it if you took a minute to leave us a 5-star rating and a short review, as it helps more people find our podcast. If you're not already using that Club Collector app, click the link in this episode description, get on the site, and enter the code TIDETALK, all one word, to get a free pack added to your collection. I'm your host, Matt. Before I go around and introduce everyone on this one, I'd like to take a minute to thank the RIFC community for all of your support when my family needed it most. Donations, texts, check-ins, just means a lot, and I really appreciate each and every one of you, especially these guys, for keeping the Tide Talk ship cranking out awesome content. I'll start with my trusty co-host, Mr. Ryan Healy. Ryan, how's it going, man?
Matt, I am so fucking happy to have you back. I'm just getting that explicit rating out the way, brother.
That's it, man. Get the E.
Awesome, Andrew.
We've also got the four amigos that made the trip to Colorado. So we'll start with Andrew Quadros. Andrew, what's up, man?
Still hurting, honestly. For tomorrow, but happy to be part of the mega pod here. It's been a fun season, so excited to talk about yesterday's events with you guys.
Awesome. We'll kick it now to Matt Hands, who's so angry he cannot be on camera. What's up, Hands?
What's up? Yeah, doing all right. It feels weird. It's 8:30 at night right now. I'm just all off timing-wise from this trip, but yeah, it was. Despite the result, it was worth it. So,
Matt Hands has logged roughly 40 hours of travel in the past 3 weeks. So more, way more than that.
More.
You must have some awesome
I
frequent flyer miles for another trip, right?
Right. These past it's just been weird. My last 3 weekends have just been gone. I'm just so used to just chilling, hanging out, doing stuff. And it's just been on the move 3 weeks in a row. So it's gonna be weird next week.
We've got Timmy with his cat on his lap again. What's up, Timmy?
How's it going? I'm opposite boat as Matt Hands. I fell asleep the second I sat in my airplane chair. Woke up when the wheels hit the ground. Got home. Slept 3 more hours. I feel fantastic. Sorry, Matt.
Fresh even coming off the plane. I was waiting for you. You came off. I'm like, you sleep, Matt? He's like, oh yeah.
Best sleep I've ever had on an airplane.
We actually had sources who saw Timmy had cucumbers over his eyes, a face mask on. He was ready to go. He knew he was making a podcast appearance tonight, so.
Yeah, we got the best for last, our good friend FQB with the open bottle of wine in his hand. What's up, Kev?
Evening, motherfuckers. I'm great. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people that are a little upset. There's nothing to be upset about. Inaugural season, Eastern Conference champions, amazing community, amazing fan base. Memories that are gonna live with me for the rest of my life. I'm happy to be here tonight to do the Megapod, and I'm excited for things to come. Up the tide.
One off with hearing from the four of you that made the trip. So whoever wants to hop in first and kind of just talk about the trip, talk about the atmosphere, pregame, in stadium, take us through the whole experience of heading out to Colorado.
Matt Hands left. All right, he's back. You want to take it, Timmy?
I was going to kick it to you or Kevin. Kevin was out the longest.
Yeah, sure. I'll go. So unlike these guys, I opted to say F you to my big boy job, and I took a vacation day on Friday. I flew out, first flight out, 6 a.m. I woke up at 4 in the morning, got to TF Green. I spotted 4 other fans and pretty much chatted with them from 6 a.m. until we got to Colorado Springs, which was 12:10 Mountain Time. Flights were seamless. Obviously, lots of energy, lots of momentum going out there. Got out there, like I said, 12:10. When you get off the plane in Colorado Springs, unbelievable in the airport. Their whole inside is just painted Colorado Switchback stuff. So kudos to Colorado Springs for really embracing their local team and representing for them. Great marketing. I get outside. I'm looking at the beautiful backdrop of the mountains there, and I'm outside for 5 minutes. First person I see is none other than William Lamb, friend of Tide Talk and Sacramento Republic supporter. He was like, "What are the chances I see you here?" And then maybe 5 minutes later, I hear the Pools come out screaming "RI," and then right behind them, 10 to 12 more screaming FC. So it really hit the ground running. I was super anxious for these guys to get in, which wasn't going to be until 2:30 in the morning, to which they entered the hotel room to me screaming obscenities because I'd already been asleep for 4.5 hours and I was ready to fucking go. I'll let you tell. They'll tell the story of how they encountered me, but it was great. I guess we'll save the game impressions for further on, but the travel experience out there and meeting up with all the RIFC fans, what an incredible experience.
Well said. Andrew, give us your take on the getting there and leading up to it all.
Yeah, I had the last flight out from Boston to Denver, so the United flight that was supposed to take off at 8:30, and now it kept getting delayed. And the same thing with Timmy and Matt Hands, who had the JetBlue flight that was an hour before. So we just both of them got delayed like a good hour and a half. It just kept adding to the amount of time and anxiousness of actually getting to where we needed to be. So by the time we got out of Denver, got to the hotel, it was close to 2:30. So we were tired because we especially knew we were going to be getting up early. The tailgate started at like 7 o'clock. We wanted to get there a little bit early. So it was going to be not much sleep. So Timmy very quietly tried to open the door. And like the second that door opened, we just heard screeching and obscenities coming from Kevin. He popped out of bed and he was wide fucking awake. Like I'm convinced he didn't even sleep. He was just eager for us to show up. So yeah, then we got a few hours of sleep. We set our alarms for like, I don't know, a little before 6. And we didn't need alarms because Kevin had his own internal alarm. And he just started blasting Eric Pride's calling me, dancing around the room in his underwear. So it was an interesting experience. But we were up, we were awake, we were ready to go. And then we headed over to the tailgate that the team set up for us. So happy to get into that. But Timmy, I don't know if you have anything to add, or Matt on your end.
I will add 3 details. One, part of the delay in getting Andrew Quadros from the airport to the hotel is we took the wrong rental car out off the lot and had to turn around and bring it back and go get him at 2:30 in the morning. I was going to mention, it went without saying, but Kevin, in his greeting, was also wearing nothing but like the smallest boxer briefs I've ever seen. And also part of
that
his
could be taken so many different ways. I love it.
Yeah. Lastly, part of his 6 a.m. wake-up call was also 4 double-shot Bloody Marys in the hotel room. I think he had them poured before 6 a.m., which that goes a long way at 6,000 feet above sea level.
You can't drink all day if you don't start early, right?
There you go.
That's right.
Yeah,
been,
wasted no time for that.
Over a decade, I think, since I had to drink that early. So thanks for that.
Hands, talk to us about your morning of. I think he's chilling in Hey Arnold's bedroom right now. We might have lost him. He's scratching.
He's on mute.
Messages. Do we have you, Matt? All right.
No.
So you guys left from Kevin's hotel bar and headed to the tailgate that was set up by the team. So give us the details on that.
Yeah, that was they did a great job. They honestly did. First off, something in the neighborhood of between 400 and 500 RFC fans in total traveling. That's between staff, front office employees, ownership family, the wags of all the players and staff, and then of course all of us crazy Defiant 1636 supporters. They had a mimosa bar set up. They had a full table of a plethora of beer and cider and non-alcoholic options for us to drink, waters, sodas, and they had a food truck. I think it was called Big Papa's. Something like that. I don't remember. I was already hammered. But egg and cheese sandwiches. They had blueberry pancake wrapped sausages. Unbelievable.
Fantastic.
On a stick, yeah. So it was a top-notch experience, except for the one thing is when you're really putting them away, you have to pee every 5 minutes, like me and Timmy. And for Timmy, it sucked because he actually walked all the way back to the hotel bathroom. I just went behind the dumpster. But yeah, it was awesome. And then when La Banda showed up, all hell broke loose. And the march to meet the team, I mean, you could see the fear. Obviously, not much to be afraid of, but you could see the fear in the eyes of the supporters and the Colorado folks. That was like, holy shit, what did you bring the whole state? So it was really cool.
I think the supporters group was tailgating near the stadium. We walked past them, and our group outnumbered their group like easily. And they had like 1 or 2 drums, and it sounded weak as hell. And I think we really made ourselves loud and heard going to the stadium. So we went from the tailgate. It was about a 5-minute walk maybe to get to the stadium. So we walked over there when the team was arriving in the bus. So we were loud and obnoxious, and I think the team posted a couple of the pictures while we were out there with the flags, just waiting for the team to arrive. They all got off the bus. We went crazy, went back to the tailgate for a bit, and then ultimately made our way to the stadium. So it's cool to greet the team as they came in. I think that's when we saw Jackson Lee walking around on crutches. So a little bit of a not panic there, but we're just like, all right, that's interesting. Then I think Nate's going to make his first game sheet of the year outside of the US Open Cup, and it's the final. So, no offense to Nate. I'm sure he's a great goalie.
I know they said it during the broadcast, which I found amazing, was both backup keepers for this one had not played a minute all year.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah,
pretty wild.
That's crazy. So it's good. I mean, I think the team did a really good job of just organizing, getting all the fans together, and setting it up in a way where we can have a good time and really present as a united front getting to the stadium.
Do you guys think one of the surprising things this whole postseason run, where there's been so many Rhode Island FC fans there, like people have been just shocked because they're like, I thought Rhode Islanders don't leave the state. Like, what the hell is all this? We thought you guys were going to join the league and then just kind of stay in Rhode Island. Do you think that's just caught everybody off guard all of a sudden?
I think that the only people that know that are people from Rhode Island, though, in southeastern Massachusetts. Literally nobody even knows what or where Rhode Island is.
Dude, when we were leaving the Charleston game last week, I went to the bathroom that was in the stadium, and there was a security person that was working there that was also in the urinal next to me. And he sees my stuff on, and he's like, oh, so
it's a very interesting start to a story, my friend.
Yeah. I was like, oh, Rhode Island. He's like,
what did he see?
He's like, so where's that? And I was like, Rhode Island. And he goes, oh, yeah. Like, where is that?
Part of New York, right?
And I was like, it's south of Boston. He's like, oh, cool. Okay. I was like, oh, man.
All right, we'll try Matt. Matt, you're back in. Are you with us?
Hopefully. Be good.
Oh, here he is. We got you now.
Right, cool.
It sounded like you were scratching with Timmy's cat at the door to get in on this one. But the guys just gave their kind of morning rundown from Kevin running around half naked in the hotel to the team's tailgate. So give us your take on everything leading up to it.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like I'm sure they all said we got in at like between 2:30 and 3, and like Kevin yelling at us, Bloody Marys, all that stuff. And then we were the first ones to the tailgate. Tailgate was great. They did a good job with having all the drinks, setting everything up for us. The truck, the food truck Kevin was talking about. I didn't end up getting anything there, but it was great seeing all the fans. We had tons of people show up. Tailgate was right near the hotel I think the team was at, and definitely Brett Johnson was there. It was awesome. So great overall experience, even though it was on like 3 hours of sleep, and drinking at 7 a.m. is always fun. So
always really cool to hear that side of it. Ryan and I were together for this one. I was a little later. We had flu shots for the boys, but Ryan is a freaking champ and did a solo pod at Providence Brewing, the solo pregame. If you haven't checked it out, go out and watch it. He was getting paranoid midway through, he said, but really good job by Ryan doing that. But Providence Brewing just continued to grow the following, from the Charleston game where there was not an empty seat in the house to this one. Even more people were there, standing, sitting. And then an appearance from Dawn the Duck. I got to hold Dawn. Dawn pissed all over the floor multiple times too. So that was pretty funny to see. But Providence Brewing was pretty electric. It was a great atmosphere. It was the farmers market at the Farm Fresh building too. So I think there were a lot of people that kind of poked their head in to see really what was going on. But one of the best atmospheres at Providence Brewing. Get your thoughts on that as well, Ryan.
No, I mean, we've talked all year about how much we just absolutely appreciate everybody at Providence Brewing, whether it's Will and Efren, who've been just great partners to work with all year, or everybody who showed up to either one of our first live streams there, or especially the packed house we had yesterday. It was really awesome. Appreciate everyone putting up with my solo show. It wasn't the same, but we went for it. It was had to do the end of the season right. But I think the saddest part was Don the Duck showed up after the first goal, and we were like, Don the Duck's changing this whole thing. And unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. But no, it was a fun time as always. It's obviously we'll get more into the game and talk more about it. But while the result didn't go our way, I think what we'll probably end up talking about at the end of this when we talk about our thoughts on the entire season and the community around this team is like being together, watching it together, and just like being a part of this larger thing that's just kind of bigger than soccer at this point was amazing.
No, right on. So let's take a look at the actual game itself, and we'll get you guys that were there to give your thoughts on the atmosphere as well. But the starting 11 of Vegas: No Darce, Stoneman, Yao, Duggan, Noah Fuson, Clay Holstad, Ibarra, Harivao, Chico, and JJ Williams. I think for me, personally, the only one I could have seen getting in there was Quazera. I know he's just coming back from international duty, but I feel like if you want to go at a game, he's the type of player that's kind of grow into it, get on the ball, and beat people. So I don't see him as a big impact sub, but I see him as an impact starter, if that makes any kind of sense. But that's the only change I really would have made to the starting 11. I think the team kind of picks itself in this playoff run and going through it. But anyone else have any other thoughts on that 11?
Yeah, I mean, like you said,
yeah.
I'll just go. I think Matt, you nailed it. The only big decision was, does Quazera start, and do they keep Noah at wing back? Do they bring or move him up and bring Chico as a super sub? So I didn't hate him running it back with the team that just had a really dominant performance in Charleston, and especially with Quazera, he obviously he didn't play a ton for Rwanda. We were actually all, I think, pretty encouraged that he came off a half one game, only played like 30 minutes the second one, but at the same time, there's so much travel for him to get there, back, and then out to Colorado. So I was very fine seeing him on the bench, because with someone like Noah, who we've been told is in the best shape on the team and all this stuff, you can move him up front if you need to make changes. You can move him over all around. You can move Frank all around. So there's plenty of versatility and optionality in there. I'll kick it to I think Andrew was jumping in.
I think it was Kevin. Kevin, you got something?
Kevin too.
Yeah, I mean, I would have just shared the same sentiment there. It's Quazera for me, but then you see him come in, and we're gonna end up diving into the team's performance, which I won't have anything positive to say about. And Quazera didn't play his game either, so I guess it didn't matter if they didn't start him. But I would have liked to see him start the game, get deep in the wing, cut across like he normally does, and either make a play at goal or do a cross into the 6-yard box and get some contact from Deke or JJ. And obviously that never happened. So yeah.
I just thought something interesting that I heard on the broadcast, and you guys maybe heard it as well, but the gentleman, not Devin Kerr, and I'm blanking on his last name.
Mike Watts.
Yeah, he I believe it was him, said Quazera was fit, was available to start. Kano commented on it and said he's not going to change the winning team from Charleston. And and that Quazera got back on Tuesday from international duty, which is earlier than I thought he could possibly be back when I was looking at flights. And when I heard that, it, in hindsight, obviously made me second guess the starting 11 just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion was I wanted Quazera in there. Like that, I understand running it back from last game, but we also had a stretch of 4 games in a row where we looked fucking great, and it was the other lineup that had Quazera in it. The biggest question mark was just what kind of shape or what kind of stamina would Quazera have going into it, given the fact that he had been traveling and playing at AFCON. So I didn't have a problem with this lineup. It was really going to be this or Quazera starting, and I don't take away much from the performance that Quazera had going in, because the whole team was off. Like I don't think that was a Quazera thing. I think it was just the state of the team. So I think it's an easy nitpick, but honestly, with the way Colorado Springs came into this game and the way that we played, I generally don't think it would have made a difference.
No, I agree with you, Andrew. I think the run it back thing versus, you watch that, I think it was in the hype video where Kano said you have all sacrificed to get to that point. So I think if he had rotated and done it with Quazera, it's not like he would have lost the locker room or anything like that, because people understand why Quazera was gone, and they understand what he brings to this team. Like I said, I just think I think Chico is more of an impact sub and can come in and affect the game, but Quazera needs time on the ball to really grow into it.
Yeah, I agree.
So they got it started right away with getting in behind and missing, a wide open chance. It reminded me of Ryan. I said to Ryan this first final against Liverpool, as Roman started to leave, if that one would have gone. But, they were getting behind our back line early and often. And I think the alarm bells were ringing to the fact that I think their goal was in the 22nd minute, and I think it could have come much, much quicker. That ball in to Tejada, who kind of shinned it in, but I think it was a nice ball in. Ibarra slips. People are caught kind of in between man marking and not man marking, which had been a common theme. But I think up until that goal, Colorado really imposed their will on this Rhode Island team. We couldn't get it out of our own half. They were pressing us. They were playing great triangles. And I think a lot of what we'll talk about in talking about this match was just how good Colorado was. They came out and executed a game plan and did it pretty flawlessly, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll jump in first because I'm a big mouth. Most of what I'll say is gonna ring true for the first half and the second half, and most of the entirety of the game. So I'll come out and I'm just gonna say everyone knows how I feel about RIFC. It's like it means everything to me. I love this team. I love Coach. I love the community. I don't have a bad thing to say about the team. But as somebody that covers the team, it's my job to be critical. And when they play like shit, I'm gonna talk about it. And like shit they played. Coach Kano was outcoached.
Kev, can I actually come in there with you? Do you think it was RFC played like shit, or do you think Colorado really just imposed their will on us?
So yeah, no, absolutely. It's both. It's both. Okay. So I think that Coach Kano got outcoached by Chambers. I think that they beat us playing our own game. Like we could not fight their press from the first whistle till at least the end of the first half. We struggled against their press, and we were playing this cute bullshit footy ball in the back between Koke and Karifa Yao, back to the wing backs. Like, you do not play the ball to Karifa Yao when there's pressure and give him the ability to be on the ball to make an error. I love Karifa. He's a wonderful defender. I hated seeing this. We didn't play the game that we had been playing. And not only is it because Colorado studied that and shut it down and imposed their will, but I don't think we were, to be honest with you, I don't think we were ready for the moment. I really don't. The whole first half was terrible to watch in person. And the guys will tell you, like, I was not pleased in the stands at all.
What was the atmosphere like in the stadium, Andrew, leading that first 22 minutes before that, first goal did cross, and then how did it change when that goal did cross?
I think there was nerves because it was the final, but I don't think that I think that we brought the same energy that we always have. And what we've seen, this is my opinion at least, and I think it showed with the team, with the supporters that were there. We've had slow starts to most of our games in the playoffs. Like, it always takes them 10, 15 minutes to really feel like they're starting to get into their game. So when that first minute chance happened, like, there was just like, okay, shit, we just dodged a bullet, but this team will grow into it. And then around like the 10, 15 minute mark, we had a little spell there where it felt like it was going to happen. And then when the goal happened, it was a bit deflating, but we still felt like this is okay. Like, we haven't been losing in a long time, but it still felt like we were trying to grow into it and that we were going to be okay. And it just,
I think the only real chance we had in that run was the Stoneman go from distance that went way high, right?
Yeah, and then we had like the corner kick, and it just felt like we were starting to play a little bit more in their area. But it just we never really did grow into it. And I think Kevin nailed it, where it's just the reason we couldn't grow into it is because Colorado Springs did to us what we've been doing to everybody else. Like, I guarantee you that Charleston and Louisville and even Indy, to agree, are probably having the exact same thoughts that we had when we played them, where it's just like we just felt off. Like, not to skip ahead, but my RFC 3 was out of sync. We were completely out of sync, but it was because of what Colorado Springs did. So to go back to your question earlier about what it was, I think it was a combination of nerves. I think it was a combination of the elevation. I think included in it was the way Colorado played, and I don't think we were on our game. And the slow playing from Koke, I think, was deliberate because of the altitude. I was of the opinion that they were trying to play slower to preserve their lungs. And I think as a result of that, they never really got into any kind of flow because it didn't feel like they were there to play their game. And when Colorado Springs was imposing their will on us, and we never got into our game, it just felt like we could just never really get to where we needed to be.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew, to build on your out of sync, like even just looking at that first goal, it's Mark Ibarra out in that left wing who's trying to mark their winger, and then it's Zach Harabau trying to mark the guy who ends up scoring the goal, which is like, it's just like, where's the wing backs? Where's the defense? Like, where is everybody? And I haven't seen us look that kind of out of whack. Like, and I just kept saying to Matt, I was like, we just need someone to put their foot in the ball and just like calm everything down. Like, I was really looking at like Harabau, Ibarra, and Holstad, like the adult midfield, as I always talk about them. Like, they have brought us so far with their presence and with like the calm that they bring to this team. And they just never got a foothold on the game. It just felt like constantly like
it was very reminiscent of early RIFC where the midfield was bypassed.
100%.
And like
We didn't get any of those second the tail end of the season. The second balls, where were they? Like, that's what those guys have been doing to make us so successful. We didn't win not one. It was awful.
I mean, we were talking about Charleston last week.
If you were telling me that like either Colorado had 3 more players than us the entire time, or that the pitch was twice the size of a pitch we normally play on, I'd be like, okay, that makes a lot more sense with the way the game was going. Because it was like constantly as if like we just there was always like an RFC player trying to get the ball here and just no one within the 12-foot radius of the player.
Well,
like,
one of your like big sayings on here all season or since the turnaround, Ryan, has been how we've been hunting in packs, and you kept saying at the brewery Colorado was the one hunting in packs, and it was pretty evident. And Andrew, I know you wanted to come in on that.
Yeah, I was saying the Charleston game last week, that's exactly what we were doing to Charleston. Like, it felt like every time Charleston started a break, there was like a guy on an island, and they would be dug in, or somebody would step in. There would be a pack there. We break it up, and they just never were able to get into any sort of in flow in their attacking movements. And that's what happened to us. Like, we just couldn't. One of my biggest takeaways is what you just said, Matt, which is the midfield. And so kind of 2 things. One is, for most of I'd say a good half of the season, it felt like we didn't have a midfield. Like, everything was getting bypassed, both on offense and on defense. Like, until Haraval came in and we solidified that trio, we didn't have that midfield. But then we had it, and we haven't seen us not have it since early on in the year. So to see us get just dominated in the midfield was just jarring, because we haven't seen that since that group has been there. And we didn't know. I couldn't figure out what we needed to do to make it work, because Colorado was just on top of us constantly every time we had a ball. That we just never had any sort of attacking flow.
Timmy, give us your thoughts on the first, opening stanza and leading up to the goal.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, well, a few things. One, I think Andrew and Matt, having been in the car with me, know, like, I referenced that opening chance, that 35th second chance, like 18 times. I thought that was like almost the defining moment of the game outside of the 3 goals. Like, as soon as that happened, I wouldn't say I had a bad feeling then, but I feel like they never snapped out of like everything that went into that chance happening. And that actually started with Clay was carrying the ball in the midfield, and 3 Colorado players, 2 came up from behind him and knocked the ball loose, and the third one split the center backs and made that chance happen. The only other one I was going to mention was there was a chance kind of for us in the 14th minute. I'm curious what you all think. I don't know if you remember it, but it was Harivo got taken down like right on the corner of the box. And when I watched that back, it looked to me like one where a lot of times you see a player jump over that challenge and kind of play the advantage themselves by sticking with the ball when they could have gone down. And I felt like he had an opportunity to do that, but he was so close on the edge of the box. He was it felt to me like he was stuck between 2 minds, and he chose to take the challenge and go down. And we wasted the free kick. And I felt like we could have got a really good scoring chance out of that. And the game was still 0-0 at that point, obviously. And JJ just took the free kick, sailed it over the net. I'm not sure why we did that either, because we scored so many set piece goals this season too. It was like so many things that we were good at this season. It just seemed to regress like so far in this game.
We had the height advantage on them too. So granted, it's close to the box, but you could have had Ibarra just try to whip something to the far post and try to have Nadarce or JJ headed in. So it was wasteful.
We'll talk more about that for sure in the second half.
Matt Hands, I'm going to get your take on it and, your thoughts on the where you guys were, the seats, any other opposing supporters in your section, how the whole atmosphere was like.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was going to come up. Well, yeah. So yeah, we get to the seats, and yeah, there were some Colorado Springs like fans filling in there. Not like a ton, but a few different groups.
And how did
Which,
that make you feel, Matt?
yeah, that immediately set me off because I feel like so the whole thing was so the whole ticket thing was like a mess because I know early in the week like we were all kind of
Ticketgate.
concerned about exactly Ticketgate. Like we were concerned about like, oh, are we gonna get tickets? Like where are the tickets? Not that they were late because like I think we've been getting the link on Tuesdays and the link ended up coming out on Tuesday, but there was like kind of some chatter about not from just like fans about like, oh, like they don't usually see a lot of away fans and then what did they set aside or not set aside, and like it was the whole thing. And then um of course we got the tickets and there was the whole pricing thing about the tickets being like the tickets were like 3 times the price of like the Charleston and Louisville games, which I get it's a final, so it makes sense, but still that was kind of annoying. um but yeah, and then we get to the game and there's like some Colorado Springs fans filling in, and some of them were saying that like they just bought their tickets like directly from like the team. And so the way it seems anyway is that the Switchbacks like front office I think just let the ticket like they put all their tickets up for sale as soon as they won the Western Conference final, or maybe day after or whatever. And so there are people who were buying tickets in our section, and then we ended up, I think we requested like 400 tickets or something crazy from Colorado Springs. I think they probably weren't prepared for that because they didn't expect us to have so many fans traveling like all the way from Rhode Island to go to the game. And it was just, yeah, I think it's kind of like a mess because you shouldn't have opposing fans in there when it's like an away section. It's obviously different from other sports. Like soccer is just different. And
Matt is a
you
big
have to
fan
set
of the way
aside.
things are done in Europe.
Yeah, well, you have to set aside, especially for like a final. Like I know there's maybe I don't know how much traveling support there is across the league, like in general or even in the playoffs. I've only kind of been paying attention to us for the most part. We've had a lot of traveling support, obviously, for all 4 games. But you have to expect that people are going to travel and that the other team is going to request tickets. And so for you to again, it seems like from what we were hearing, for them to sell tickets to their fans in that section and then have to panic, and I don't know what they ended up doing to get us to have our own section. It's just like ridiculous. It's just unprofessional in my opinion. Like, and maybe it's on the league too. I just think like it's part of the growing process maybe for the league, but you know, you have to have that separate. There shouldn't have been Colorado Springs fans in our section like at all.
Fair enough. Um, Colorado got back on the board in the 42nd minute, so right before the end of half. That's one of my big pet peeves: is first 5 minutes, last 5 minutes. So I hate conceding those goals. It always seems mental to me, and this was a pretty wild one as it looked like it was deflected. Just a well struck ball that got in there, and I think the slide kind of screened Koke out a little bit on that one. He was kind of glued based on that slide and not seeing that ball till late. But first half stats for this one were pretty staggering to me. It was only 55-45 for possession. I thought it would have been a lot higher as far as Colorado with their possession total. I know Field Tilt would probably tell a different story of what that possession actually looked like.
I didn't even bother calculating it.
No, I know, but like I think it kind of speaks for itself there. They outshot us 9-2, 3 on target. We had none. 2 big chances, 1 big chance missed in that opening go as well. Their passing wasn't that great either, though. 134 at 75% to ours at 105 at 70%. They committed 10 fouls. We committed 6, and they had 5 corners to our none. I think it was Andrew that mentioned it. We had a huge height advantage and just couldn't get those set pieces. Or Timmy mentioned it with the Haraval play. We had that big height advantage and just couldn't really get there and get close to getting those big guys in the box and being able to try to lump one off somebody's forehead and in. And I just think that they really imposed their will in the first half, and it was kind of tough with who we were going to bring off the bench to really try to impact this one based on the starting 11.
Yeah, I think the quality of possession just tells 2 different stories. I think the reason ours is probably as high as 45% is because we continue to try to play it out of the back and slow the game down. And there's a lot of passes that didn't really go anywhere. And for Colorado Springs, their advantage was speed, and they were burning us on the wings. They would just the second we would try to advance into that middle third or that even into the attacking third, they would put their foot down, they'd stamp us out, and then they'd immediately send the ball up the flanks, and we were just getting torched there. So I think the lower possession than expected for Colorado Springs, I think, is because they were so quick in their attacks, and they just kept burning us over and over and over. So even if they weren't getting past us on the initial ball, we just had gaps, which is why in the first minute, right?
Right.
Beautiful through ball that went in. It was a beautifully weighted ball, but we had those gaps in the defensive line the entire half, really the whole game, because of those transition moments that we just weren't prepared to match up with their speed.
Yeah, if I can add, Kano made an adjustment too there as far as like the wings, sometime in the first half. I don't remember exactly when, but it must have been between the goals, where because we had started like with Noah on the left and Frank on the right, and then we moved Noah to the right, put Frank in the back line, and put Dugan back on the left, and like, I mean, it maybe kind of worked a little bit, but not, really nothing seemed to be working anyway. And then we'll get more to that, I'm sure, in the second half when we changed formation and a bunch of stuff. But I mean, we tried, I guess.
I think the dark side was getting torched out there. Like they just kept running.
Yeah.
So I think they wanted more speed on that side. I think that's the side that Tejada was starting to play through and Enriquez. So I think that they just wanted to help out there and put someone sturdier on the left with Duggan. I liked the move when I saw it in real time, but it didn't really end up making a difference.
Yeah.
No, I mean the first half, like we talked so much about the midfield, and it felt like no one could combine. Like there was a point where I was like, is the ball too pumped up? Because it felt like we literally couldn't like pass it or possess the ball. Like the ball was going up to JJ and it was bouncing off him like 12 feet, and like you just don't see that. And I was like, are there shenanigans at play? Is there some kind of like deflate gate going on? Like do we have to start?
Someone I was talking to after the match was saying that the turf at that field has a little bit less infill, and the ball was bouncing higher, and the team themselves only had the ability to train on that field once. They did their training elsewhere the day before, so I think part of it was just learning how the ball was reacting to the turf, and like it almost felt like we were hesitant to go into some of those balls or on the bounces, where Colorado Springs kind of knew how that ball was going to react. So between the altitude and the way the ball was reacting, I think it's a good observation. I do think that the team didn't really know how to adjust to that.
That's capital J stuff there, Quadras.
I mean, I was actually kidding, but that's good to know.
Yeah, see, I struggle with all this, right? Like all these things, I guess they matter, right? The start time, 10 a.m., the turf having less fill, elevation. To me, it's bullshit. We got outplayed drastically. We were getting our ass handed to us. We couldn't string together a pass. It was awful. And again, I'm not trying to Evan my way into RIFC here. I love these guys. This team is incredible. They're champions to me. But it was bad. Like I don't even want to put forth an excuse for it. It was one of their worst games they've played all season, to be honest with you.
It might have been their worst. I don't disagree with any of that. I'm just saying, like, all of these little factors add up. Like, it's not one or two things, but when you take all of it together, it could have very well made a difference. But I just think, to your point, I think Colorado Springs was ready, and we weren't. Like, I think that was the bottom line. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kano talked about it after the game. Maybe we'll get to this at the end, but like he talked about how we almost didn't look ready for their press, which I found like really surprising. Because actually, if you would have told me that like they're gonna press like crazy, I would have said like we have a very like press resistant team, especially our midfield. Like I think Harivao and Ibarra especially are, in my opinion, two pretty press resistant midfielders.
Yeah, they're metronomes. They're ball recyclers.
Yeah, and then someone like a JJ kind of is a press breaker because he almost is like a cheat code to go over the press. And the fact that none of that worked yesterday all at the same time was just like kind of mind blowing, because it's like, okay, maybe JJ has an off day, or maybe Ibarra or Harivao has an off day. But the fact that it looked like all of them just at the same time, just like
we haven't looked.
Yeah, just felt shocked out there. It was crazy
all year long. Like the Tampa Bay game, at least we kind of started hot and then things kind of fell off. The Colorado Springs game, the first time around, I think it ended up being 3-1, but it was like some weird mistakes in the back that really ended up breaking it out. So if you look at all the games where we didn't play great, it just felt like this is the one that like from end to end we just didn't have it.
Ryan, can you please bring Sarah's comment on screen?
Did anyone else just see that happen? The like subscribe thing?
Oh yeah, it drops every now and then. I set that up. That was my part of my good tech guru side.
There you go.
I lived having the way. Big shout out to Sarah. She brought Ellie's Donuts to Providence Brewing.
I would say maybe
Always-
the
always
highlight
good.
of my Saturday, but
Mine was Dawn. Holden
Dawn.
Dawn was pretty cool. Quack quack.
she bit me. It's fine.
She did bite Ryan. That was pretty awesome. And then like gave Efren like the most loving little graze. Like and she was like, "Fuck you, Healy." But Colorado put the final nail in the coffin in the 53rd minute. And you know we just couldn't do all those goal videos to relive it. But you know, Timmy, hop in on this one. Talk to us about your thoughts on the second half and kind of how I think we just let it go after that third goal. I don't want to say we quit, but I think it was very deflating once that third one went in, still having over a half an hour to go. And, it was, I didn't see us getting on the board after that.
I mean, that goal, conceding in that way, was one of the most amateur things I've seen in this league the entire season. Like, there's so many different ways I've described it. Like, I've conceded that goal in FIFA so many times, and it's like, well, that's not how real life works. And I saw it happen before my eyes yesterday. I was furious. Clay does make, like, I loved the effort. He makes like an incredible attempt at running the entire length of the field, and he is one step away from interrupting the shot. But yeah, just horrible. And I already alluded to it speaking about the first half, but we were so effective on corner kicks all season. We were alternating in swinging corner kicks to the far post and to the near post. We did it all season. We scored so many goals that way. I don't know if I remember us ever trying to do that routine. I can't believe that like that is the moment we chose to pull it out and it bit us like that. Speechless.
It truly
Ryan and
felt
I
like one of those...
talked like wondering if he would have, or if Koke like would have stepped up and like take the red on that one. It might have been worth it.
Probably would have been worth it. And there was another corner kick, and sometimes we do this when we're trying to start it back up fast and play it short. But I think we had a second corner kick not long after, and we played another short one. I was like, why are we not getting set?
Playing to our strengths.
I don't recall if Duggan took both of them or just one of them. Quizera was on the pitch at that time. I don't know why he wasn't taking them.
I thought
really
Duggan taking them was actually like really crazy because I'm like that you're removing a 6'2" guy
6'4"
from the
or
box.
6'2".
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
he might be 6'4". I just threw that out there, but he's tall.
And then pulls him out of position too, right? If there's a break the other way, he's the furthest guy from the pitch. I don't love that they didn't put the ball into the box. I'm okay with seeing if Clay can do something, but I am very upset at the fact that they didn't have any cover for him. Like if the possibility of that ball getting immediately knocked down was pretty high. Like if you're going to do that, you need to have some cover there. So to just to make him the last man back and then blast the ball to someone and then have to chase them down. Like I just didn't really love trying to play that in that moment.
Well, the thing that was kind of weird was like Clay wasn't that open. Like we saw, I don't remember which game it was earlier this season, but another team did that to us and it like worked amazingly because we left him like wide open. Like there was someone like close enough to Clay that it like bothered Clay's shot to begin with. So it was one of those moments where almost like you have to like audible out of that play and just like ship it in. Matt and I were talking and it was clearly like one of those things of like we have to score the next goal. And for them to almost go to like, quite frankly, like a gimmicky play, it really like threw me off because I'm like, wait, guys, like stick to the script, get the next goal. If we score a goal in the, before the 60th minute, we're right back in this thing. And for us to like go to like some razzle dazzle flea flicker for like an American football analogy, like it was really like shit. Like are we completely out of ideas, completely out of plays?
I think it just speaks to what we talked about earlier, where Colorado Springs just did to us what we do to other teams, in the sense that I think we've established an identity, particularly in the second half of the year, as we've built up this run and through the playoffs. We played our game, and we've tweaked that a little bit to match up with the other team. But for the most part, we have our style, we have our plays, we have our ways of doing things. And it just felt like this whole match, whether it was how we were trying to play tactically or these corner kicks, like it almost felt like we were just looking for answers and going outside of what we typically do, because Colorado Springs just shut us down in a way that we weren't used to being shut down.
I saw the question in there on Turnball. I think Turnball
I can't find it.
pizza Melvin.
Pizza Melvin.
Turnbull might eat at Pizza Melvin, but I think he could have been an impact, which is also why I think Quizera starting would have been a little bit better as far as bringing in a player like Chico to influence it. So I just think at the point of when the subs were to come on, it was too little, too late. So I don't think it would have drastically played anything different just because of how well Colorado Springs pressed.
Yeah, just really one quick point on the halftime too, being down 2-0. I think it was a bit depressing, not just because we were down 2, because I think in normal circumstances you can feel that they could come back from that. We hadn't seen it all year. We're not used to being down. But we talked leading up to this week, we were talking about how the team was going to need to win in 90 minutes. So I think the most depressing part of this is we need 2 goals just for the right to be able to play another 30 minutes, which means we really need 3 goals. It just felt like a long shot even in that moment, and then that third goal happening so early on, it was like, all right, I mean, there's no chance at this point. Like they're not going to have the lungs to be able to carry them.
Yeah, and I think we at halftime we did fail to mention that Jack Peniotu did come on for Grant Stoneman, and Jojea Quizera did come on for Mark Ibarra. So Frank shifted back to that right center back spot, and Quizera took up the left wing back spot. So we were clearly showing some attacking intent. And that's what makes it more upsetting that like we then tried like a trick play rather than like, let's see if Quizera, Jack P, Noah, like this core group that we've had that's been so attacking and they've done so well all season, like can they make the difference? And we threw that out there. But Kevin, I think you were going to jump in.
Yeah. So at halftime, I looked at Timmy and Andrew and I was like, look, if we put one in the first 15 minutes of the second half, our momentum is going to carry. We're gonna at least go to extra time. Like I had no doubts. Like I knew we played like shit. I was very disheartened by our performance in the first half. But I was like, this team has fight in them. That's what we're built on. We're dogs. We're gonna go out. We're gonna get that. Everyone knows 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in soccer, right?
You get that at halftime.
He did.
You get that one goal in 15 minutes in the second half. You're right back in this thing. Mm-hmm. And then when. I know that the Adamas goal was ridiculous and that should have never happened. But I'll be honest with you, it's the only goal that they had where I was like, oh, okay, that doesn't upset me because like I know he's that fast and he got it, but he got by Koke. Like the other 2 goals really bothered me for man marking issues and that I know Koke was blinded by the deflection, but. I mean, there was 3 freaking defenders on that guy. He should have never even got that second opportunity off. Unacceptable. But anyways, back to the second half. Once the second half, we looked better. We were getting some chances. But after that goal happened, and we weren't getting anything happening for us, there was a couple of shots where like we made Herrera stretch out, and that 6'7" beast in the net, unbelievable. He's a fantastic keeper. And once we started just throwing the rest of the team out there, I mean, we were just like, okay, we'll try anything. And for me, it was over at that point. And I looked at Timmy and Andrew and Matt and said, it's easier to just embrace it, like accept it because this is what it's gonna be. And that was the game for me.
Matt and I started doing some real cursed math of like, okay, if we score every 10 minutes, then it became every 5 minutes, and we both tried our best to keep the spirits high, but. Yeah, after that third goal, and again, I think what you said there with like almost throwing everything out there, like it really felt like we were just trying stuff when
that was that corner in a nutshell.
There was no like actual idea of like how we were going to get back into this one. But yeah, I don't know. Timmy, do you have any thoughts there?
I mean, I think just to that point, and I can't find it in my notes, but like even some of the substitutions just felt like, yeah, we don't really know. We're just going to try something. I mean, Jack P. being the first midfield sub off the bench, I know he's the most attacking option, but he also hasn't played for us in a month.
I will say I have to give him a little credit. I think he was the most lively of anyone on the pitch.
I agree. I agree. I thought he looked pretty good. I just thought it was not crazy, but an interesting decision. I think Brito has been our best midfielder off the bench. He was the 5th sub or he was the last midfield sub. I know he hasn't been brought on to score goals, which is what we needed. He's been brought on to shithouse essentially, but he's been our best midfield sub. I felt like he could have come out sooner. I thought Doyle was pretty good. I thought Almost was fine as well. Like I actually thought all of the subs brought some kind of spark. I just felt like almost the way they were deployed and the order they were deployed.
Sure.
It just seemed kind of, let's see what we can get. I thought there could have been a little more thought behind it.
Can I ask
Hands it. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to ask, and happy to get Matt's thoughts too, just the vibe of Province Brewing at the party there. Because, like, obviously in
Andrew,
the stadium.
There was a duck pissing on the floor. Everyone's having the time of their life. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, because the supporters group, like, I know we felt what Kevin just described, but we tried to keep the energy high with La Banda and chanting and give our support. So, like, we almost had an obligation that's why we're there. But I'm wondering, when you're in this watch party and it's clear we're not going to win, like,
I think the big common, talking point was, well, let's just get one, like, let's not get shut out. And obviously that didn't come to fruition, but I think people just wanted to see one goal and just kind of boost the atmosphere momentarily, albeit, but Ryan, would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we can talk about kind of like, we're gonna get to this at the end of this, of kind of like our feelings about the season, but I also think a lot of us were like, we're playing with house money. And like,
Sure.
while I was very disappointed yesterday, I also had a very like strong feeling of gratitude and love for what the team has done so far. So, obviously they get on 3-0 and I'm sitting there being like, when they win, when they're gonna big, like 28-3, like I'm throwing all that stuff out there, the 2004 Red Sox. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know, this team has brought so much to like all of us, that I couldn't be like extremely disappointed or extremely mad or any kind of big emotion. My prevailing feeling, I think I felt as a brewery, was just like, people were just like happy that like we even had this chance at the time. And as unexpected as it was, the team just, had a phenomenal season. And I'm not going to sit here and nitpick the final game when like shit happens, like soccer's a sport of variance, and like, the ball just never bounced our way in this one, like not a single time. Like whether it was the underinflated pitch, underinflated ball, whatever it was, like it just refused to bounce.
Ryan said to me that we have to learn how to be friends outside of RIFC. Little does he know I have our Discord scheduled for deletion at midnight tonight after the final podcast goes up. I'm just kidding.
I have your phone number, you fuck.
Hands, wanted to get your thoughts before we put a pin in this second half.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what everyone was saying, really. Just kind of going over it real quick, like the free kick thing, the corner kick we played out to Clay, like, yeah, I think it was a good decision to do that, but not great not having anyone back. And that was the Indy 11 game, the draw that Indy scored on us in that kind of fashion where they played the ball out to the, just outside the box. But anyway, yeah, it was just kind of like deflating, really, after that third goal went in. And we were doing the same stuff in the stands. And Matt, you said you guys were just kind of, the vibe was kind of like, okay, can we at least get a goal just to kind of change the vibe? We were thinking the same thing in the stands. I just wanted to see one go in. We almost had one. We had like the only real chance, kind of good chance we had, that Frank header. I thought it was JJ, but watching it back, definitely Frank. But Frank headed it into the like lower corner of the box. It was going in, and their goalie made a good save.
Very good diving save.
Yeah, really
Matt, the only thing that makes me sad is I did pull all the videos for the show tonight. We all vetoed that we were going to show them, but unfortunately, it's like the 63rd minute. We have like two like back-to-back chances, like the 62nd, 63rd minute. And then like in the USL clips, it just that's the last chance of the game. Like it just from 62 or 63, whatever it was, to 90 plus. Like we just never put together any kind of like cohesive attack or like even like big chance. Like you really would have thought we would be pouring it on, and like it just never materializes.
Yeah, I think like we just had. I think the subs. Well, okay, so I think we had trouble getting the ball, obviously, into the attacking third, like all game long. I think the subs, kind of helped. I agree with everyone that it was kind of just like throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks, basically. Like bring in like players that, like, again, Jack P did well when he came in, but like Timmy said, he's not a guy that we have like really played that much lately, like at all. And like bringing Amos in was bizarre, and like love Amos, but like he's only played like a half the entire season, basically the second half of Miami, and I know he played in the playoffs like a few minutes, but yeah, we just kind of were throwing everything out there, and obviously none of it really worked. Doyle coming in, and like again, like I thought, like yeah, we seemed like we got the ball a little bit and tried to create some chances, but yeah, nothing really ever came of anything, and yeah, it was just depressing, depressing overall.
I think instead of looking at final stats and making it more depressing, we'll just go to the RIFC in 3 and good, bad, ugly, good, better, best that everyone put in on the Defiant 1636
Yeah, I
Discord.
give everyone dealer's choice on that. So I
Yeah.
like that some people went the optimistic approach.
So our guy Leo said, good energy from substitutes, as we just talked about, despite outlook of the game, unwavering support from traveling contingent. Bad, every bounce went Colorado's way. They milked the clock and managed to do to us what we've done to literally everyone else. Ugly was the inability to win the midfield or get a grasp on the game. The press we usually have got thrown in our faces. His RIFC in 3 was support outshined the struggles. Our good friend Tyler's RIFC in 3, simply up the tide. Raphael had Defiance president, La Banda, RAFC supporters. These 3 make our club run. Very, very well said. Run it back from Andrew H. I had What a Ride. Nick P had League on Notice / Up the Tide. Tim Sheldon had surpassed inaugural expectations. Terrace's RAFC in 3 was What a Season. Good. We FC in 3.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, sorry. Chuck had RAFC in 3.
Technical difficulties, folks. We'll be with you shortly.
You're good.
You're good now.
Okay.
We lost you at Terrace.
All right. So Terrace, and then Kevin was next with RAFC in 3. Up the Tide. Good level of support for this club. Bad game management, ugly first half performance. Chuck had RFC in 3. He left blank. Good being able to attend the final in person at a venue with a killer backdrop. Bad could not sustain any offensive pressure during the match. Ugly was completely outplayed. Yeah, pretty much sums up kind of what we were saying. Andrew Quadros had RFC in 3 out of sync. Good was the amazing road support. Spelled it with an H. Very clever there. Capital J, Mr. Quadros. Bad, fantastic run of form ends with a whimper and is ugly, completely outplayed. Colorado Springs were deserved winners. Max had good. We got there and proved our state and team were legit. Bad didn't get the win. Ugly didn't even have a chance to win. RFC in 3, big altitude disadvantage, and in parentheses, bad. Very well played there by Max. Nateski is RFC in 3 was an awesome season ride. Good making it to the final game. Bad loss. Ugly not prepared for the elevation. Tyler's good, better, and best was good inaugural season. Better the people we've gotten to know. Best the future of this club. Kevin responded with the bestest Tyler. And Timmy had RAFC in 3 ahead of schedule. Good making the finals in year 1. Bad simply outplayed in all areas of the pitch. Ugly third goal. What the hell was that? The GOAT, Patrick McKenna, RFC in 3. Wild success. Good, a season of continual growth for the club and fan base on and off the field. Better developing lifelong friendships through our D36. Best seeing my kids and family become inspired. And I got to do this to Matt Hands and read Sarah's because it might have been the best one of the night. RAFC in 3, only the beginning. Good, watching the club grow and succeed in only their first year of existence. Better, all the friends made along the way. Best, watching my introvert of a partner step out of his comfort zone and again making lifelong memories and friends for himself. Sarah crushed it there with that one. Absolutely love it. Matt, are you going to the are you going to the block party tomorrow, Matt?
I have no idea. Maybe. I don't know yet.
If you see Matt Hands at the block party, please give him a big hug. He loves hugs.
You walk into that hand.
Yeah.
But thank you to everyone who wrote in and wrote into us all season long as we got to get all of those comments in. So it's not just us talking. We want to really bring the voice of the fans to all of our episodes. But, you know, a great season, I think Andrew said, kind of ended in a whimper in this one. But that's not going to be the resounding memory of this season for this club. But we do have a lot to talk about in the next chapter. And, you know, we're recording this Sunday night and what we might see tomorrow with roster news and, you know, some rumors that we've heard. So,
well, Matt, before we jump into that, I don't know did anyone have any final thoughts on the 2024 season? Like before we get into kind of what's going to happen tomorrow and the next couple of weeks, I think it's going to be pretty jarring for all of us. But I don't know if anyone had any last thoughts on like RAFC inaugural season 2024.
I mean, I think I've said it on the corner over the entire postseason. Um, it's hard to even put into words without like breaking up and sounding like a fucking baby. Everything about this club has been remarkable, phenomenal. Far exceeded anyone's expectations. If we're being honest with each other, there was chatter at the beginning about, oh, I think we can make the playoffs. Like, let's be honest. We came down to the end of the season, and it was a really tight race just to even get into the playoffs. And then what the team did to go as far as they did to make it all the way to the finals, just unreal. If the team can bring this team back and bring them into a gem of a stadium at Tidewater Landing, the future is extremely bright for this team. And the community that's been built, the friendships that have been made, it's unbelievable. It's hard to put words to it. From the bottom of my heart, I love all you guys. I love this community. I love this club more than most things in my life. So I'm excited for the future.
That's really well said. I think all of us would share that sentiment on there. Like I kind of said in my opening, you guys and all of our meetups and drunken escapades at Providence Brewing, and then just everyone who reached out with everything I've had going on. Like the community, since community is just.
It's so great that he can't get the words out.
No, but I just wanted to, this was really like, I've been struggling in the newsletter and the podcast and even the occasional blog I write, like trying to put into words what this team has meant to me, especially these past couple of weeks where like every week it could be the final time I talk about this team for the year. Like there's always one last podcast, and we knew going into this one, it was going to be the last one that talked about this season. And I said it in something recently, but like I was just so proud of that. Like these are going to be the guys that wore the crest for the first time for the inaugural season, and what they did, they just personified this community and like the fans, how we all felt on the field. And then off the pitch, like just, I've spoken to all of you like personally and individually, but just like what it's meant. And Matt and I, the entire season, you can go back to like the earliest episodes when we started talking about this, but like the community, like everything built around this club. Obviously on the pitch is one thing, and we love this team and what they did and the way they grew and the way they learned this year was phenomenal. But just like the experience of just like growing within this community, this team, and just getting to know like even like the random people who you'll just be walking on the street and they say up the Tide, like that kind of stuff is just like unbelievable. And then also just seeing like the outpouring of support for stuff like Matt, and like there's been so many things like the GoFundMe's for La Banda to get them out there, and like every single person recognizing like what they bring. So just a tremendous community that's been built around this club that is only going to grow and only going to become bigger, stronger, and just more just personal and loving. Like that's the thing. Like I just my resounding feeling on this team is just love. Like it's just it again, struggling to put it into words, but just truly incredible stuff.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I feel the exact same way. And I was talking to Kevin before the match yesterday, walking around, and the weird part of going into yesterday, we've gone into the last few weeks wondering if it was going to be the last week, but we were going into yesterday knowing it was going to be the last one. And what I had told Kevin was, and we were talking at the time too, was this year we're never going to get this feeling again. So it was really strange where this team could have won yesterday and could just be ultra successful, but that first year feeling was never going to be the same, because we knew that this is really, we're growing this from the ground up. We were here from the beginning, and everything was just so unexpected in terms of how far we went. So I really wanted to just kind of soak it in and do everything we could to enjoy the moment, regardless of what the result was. What I've been really impressed to see with this team is we've kind of grown in two fronts. It was in the broader community, and you really saw that over the last few weeks as the team has been performing well, and just seeing the outreach that this club has had, and seeing how big of a deal it's become throughout the state, but also even amongst the supporters group themselves, like not just Tide Talk or the other people that follow the team closely, but the supporters group, and seeing how much that grew. To pack out our sections yesterday to show the support that we showed was amazing. And we were down 3-0 yesterday, and we sang and chanted our heart outs, and La Banda beat the shit out of those drums the entire match, and we just did not let up. Scarves up the whole time. I think I saw somebody say, I don't know if it was Timmy or Andrew, someone, that your arms were tired. My arms were tired. Like I had to. I'm a weakling. I had to like take breaks and then put it back up. But like we just stayed there through the end. And then after the match, we did not stop singing to the point where we were told like you guys got to stop because the team needs like a break because the team was very good about coming over and soaking in the support that we were giving to them. And it was the drums and it was the chants and it was the scarves. At one point, and this is after the match, we were chanting one player at a time. So whoever was nearby, Noah, boom, 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 Noah, boom, 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 and he would come over and we talked to him and he'd shake hands and he'd sign whatever or give away whatever. And we did it with Cocaine, we did it with Kano, and we basically went like anyone that was within reach. We chanted and they all came over and were so gracious to us. And I think that the supporters group has done such an amazing job of being true supporters. And you see this at the biggest clubs across the world. It doesn't matter if you get smacked 3 or 4-0. The away fans are there to support you and applaud your effort. And I think what's been great about this group is that we recognize their contributions to everything that's been done here and their effort that they put in. And it didn't matter what the result was yesterday. We were going to be there and love that team and get that love back. So really props to everyone who made it to the game, but really throughout the whole season, everyone that's shown support for this club, because I think it's been an amazing group all around.
Well said. Matt Hands, do you want to step out of your comfort zone yet again and give your take?
No, yeah, well, a couple things, I guess on the team aspect of it and the way the team played and everything. I think it's been like, so that on the field, it's been like a huge journey. Obviously, having like our growing pains early in the year, and then figuring things out, and going along this path, and then I think getting to the playoffs. I've said this a bunch, but for me, like we had to beat Indy. I thought we should beat Indy, and we did. And then the rest of it to me was kind of like they were saying, like guys were saying, like playing with house money. And especially like Louisville, Charleston. But I think like we got to this game, and I think getting this far, I'm still kind of disappointed, and I'm kind of going through the different feelings about it because I'm disappointed in the overall performance and obviously the result. But yeah, I think bigger picture, it's just incredible that this team was able to do what they did to kind of come together in its first season, and then to get this far, and then to go with that, I think just the I don't know what word to use. I guess like the availability of the players, or just coming up to the fans, like all the games that burn.
I
Obviously,
think that's a great way to describe it. That's a great word for it.
Yeah, like just kind of being there, being part of the community, so we can all be fans and have our own community, which is amazing. But also having the players kind of be involved in that way, and just be so like. Yeah, just so great with the fans, with everyone's kids, running on the field after games and stuff like that. I mean, it's just incredible. You don't get that anywhere else, in other sports or other teams. So that's a major part of it. And then yeah, just to speak to like the community here is like the fans. I think like it's great. We have people from all different backgrounds and just coming together with one singular focus of supporting the team, and it's great. It's great to see. For me, like doing the blogs, it's been great. I'm going to keep doing that. I know we're gonna have all of our off season content coming. But yeah, it's just been great making friends in the fan base, making friends with you guys and with Tide Talk, and being a part of something like this. So yeah, long may it continue.
All right. Last but not least, let's hear from Mr. Timmy.
I'll make it quick. You guys have hit on a lot of the finer points. I was just going to share, I guess, an anecdote from the stands yesterday, and Andrew sort of touched on it, but like, shoot, I'm gonna get choked up again talking about it right now. Around like the 85th minute, and I'm gonna mix up the order of events as well, but like some order of these events happened. Like first, Irvin like was coming around and pretty much like individually hugging a bunch of the supporters, like, and I had kept my emotions pretty in check all day, and something about Irvin coming over and saying like, we're going to be back, get ready for next year, and the hug, it was so hard to hold it together. And then, and again, I forget if this happened before or after, but he was also, and like, correct me anyone if I'm wrong, he was screaming at us to hold our scarves up. And like he was so right. Like it felt just like the perfect thing to do in that moment. I mean, I know it's just kind of a soccer thing in general, but like for the last 10 minutes of the game probably, and then 10 minutes after the game was over, to be holding them up, it just felt perfect. And I thought and I touched on this in the blog as well that will get published tomorrow, but like Irvin was probably hurting as much or more than everyone else who was there. He's put heart and soul into the team like for over a year now. Handled it so well in the moment, and like really made it more digestible for me, at least in the stadium. And then that was kind of heavy. So I'll just say quickly, like the after party, getting to unpack the loss, surrounded by like all the fans who had been in the game. And like, I'm thinking of a few specific people who I just like bumped into walking in or out of the hall and like just talked about it's just kind of the general, like, wow, that really sucked, but here's all the great stuff that happened. Here's everything we have to look forward to next year. And like, same thing with Andrew and Matt. Like we were firing takes off in the car on the ride back to the Denver airport. And like, I felt so much better about it by the time. It was just really nice to get to like unpack that loss, surrounded by fans, people who love the team as much as we all do. Wish you guys were there as well, Matt and Ryan. Missed you, but I mean, we'll get plenty more chances to do that. So that wasn't short at all, like I said it was going to be. But that's how I felt.
It was well said. And just really quickly on Irvin, he's done a phenomenal job throughout the whole year. And like when he went around, and I could tell Timmy was trying to hold back so he didn't cry, and I'm going to do my best to do it here. It wasn't just he was thanking people. Like there was a genuine embrace for every single person he went to. It was like a hug and an understanding. And he knew what to do in that moment, and he knew what we needed to do to support the team. So he's just done a great job all year long.
No, well said. The Defiance was definitely the lifeblood of this group, and I think it's what brought a lot of us together too. So big shout out to Irvin and everyone on the board who made it just such a successful season throughout. But as we put a pin in this season and kind of turn the page to next season, we're hearing a lot of rumors. We're hearing a lot of talk about players coming to Rhode Island. We'll learn who will be leaving, probably within the next 24 hours or so. So we'll kick it to the FQB to start off this conversation.
Look, let's get it a little bit more upbeat now, okay? I don't know if anyone else has been watching Timmy stroke that cat, but I'm getting pretty fucking excited over here, boys.
Yeah.
And it's not just the way that Timmy's stroking that cat, but FQB has a feeling deep down in his plums,
in his grapes,
that's right, in my trunk wine grapes, that this squad, this roster is going to be coming back. It's this strong feeling within me that we're going to see a vast majority of this RFC team come back. And not only that, I also have a really strong feeling that there's a marquee signing or two that's going to come and really split this thing wide open at Tidewater Landing. And Section 205.
Would you say it would put us to the max?
It would take things to the max level for sure. And I can tell you that Section 205 at Tidewater Landing is gonna go fucking ballistic.
I think Tidewater is going to be ballistic no matter what. But in talking with some of our people that we've had on the away end from other clubs who run other podcasts, we're expecting a big name or two to fall into this community, and I think it's really going to excite the fans, and I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later, based on everything that we've been hearing from some of our sources. So really excited to see a player like maybe like a Maxi Rodriguez come into Tidewater and be there for the inaugural season. And
I just
really
love when you pull a name
out
out of a hat like that out of thin air.
Yeah, I know it's been floated around. We have a guy who loves to talk Detroit City football. So I'm sure we'll be hearing from Garrett if and when that news does come down the pipeline. But there are a lot of big things that are supposed to be coming our way, and I think it's going to make a pretty marquee impact on us being in the stadium. Yeah, I think that's just an understated piece of how that stadium is going to help recruit for this team and bring in some big names and, really people who want to be a part of this organization. So really excited to see how that one will play out.
Yeah, man, and even like beyond the stadium, which is obviously was something we knew was going to happen at the end of all of this. I think the way that this team both progressed through the playoffs, but also the support they were shown through the playoffs is a phenomenal advertisement. If you are a player who is looking for their next home, how could you not at least consider Rhode Island at this point? Because it's a team on the rise. They're Eastern Conference champions playing for a championship. They have a absolutely amazing coach who's bringing the best out of his players, and they have a support team who will travel all over the country to support you, cheer you on, and clap you off, whatever the case. So I genuinely think what has happened this playoffs, obviously it would have been phenomenal to have an extra trophy at the end of it, but it was a incredible advertisement for what Rhode Island FC is and is going to continue to be moving forward.
And a dedicated ownership group too. I don't think we can undersell that because a lot of other teams don't have that. And if Fluffy's plum/grapes are correct, and Connor's able to pitch to incoming players that we're retaining the majority of the team, and we're built, there's continuity in what we're doing, and we're going into a new stadium, and we can point to all the numerous examples of why this ownership gives a shit and why they really want this team and this club to be successful on the pitch and in the community. Like, that's a really strong selling point that not many other teams in this league can provide.
That's really well said. But yeah, any other final thoughts we want to throw out there before we wrap this one up? Any other Big J scoop squadros?
Yeah.
Yeah, just taking it back to last week. So we kind of had two mini fiascos here with the ticket situation and then the drums. So what Timmy and I spoke to people on the Colorado side who basically did confirm that they sold those tickets. So what Matt was alluding to earlier, I mean, we kind of figured when we got into the stadium that there were people in our section that weren't Rhode Island supporters, and that's not just a coincidence. And we did get confirmation from people on the Colorado Springs side that, yeah, they sold the tickets and they shouldn't have. And there's a very good chance that they are in trouble with the league and they got to go and figure out, how to remediate that. And then the other piece of this was the drums and not having the ability to bring in the drums. And there was questions of whether that was a USL mandate or whether that was with the team. What we heard there from the Colorado Springs side was that they wanted to allow us to bring the drums, and it was USL that said no. I think we heard some conflicting information earlier on. So truthfully, I don't really know what the right answer is, but the folks that we spoke to on the Colorado Springs side said, like, their higher ups wanted us to bring it. So take that for what you will, but that's what we had heard.
God, just Tide Talk, just Big J City over here tonight. This is incredible.
And then
Also, I want to jump in real quick before I forget something here. We're talking about how incredible the ownership group is. We talked to Brett Johnson after the game. Everyone knows that Brett is a minority holder partner at Ipswich Town. And before the game had started, he was like, I'm looking for a 6-point weekend here. Obviously, at the end of the game, he was like, there's still hope for 3 points. If you guys, I don't know if anyone watched the Ipswich Tide Man U. He got one. So, Brett, if you hear this, if you listen in, one is better than none. Happy to see the Tractor Boys get the draw against Man U. So, congratulations.
Yeah.
Much to the dismay of Scott, but
yeah. And then one last point on the roster update. I think we did get confirmation that the team has like 48 hours after the game ends to put it out. So I think by tomorrow we're going to get a lot of news coming in.
yeah, and I think stay tuned when the dust does settle. We'll probably put something together via the blogs or popping back on here. I know Kevin, you plan on going Tuesday night for the corner with the block party being tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm not going to be at the block party. I just, with us doing this tonight and then the block party tomorrow and then the cohort corner the next day, it's a lot going on. And I've been traveling in the postseason and I got to kind of get back to some other things that are important in my life. And I've been celebrating for a long time with RIFC, so I won't be there tomorrow. You can catch me on the corner Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's going to be a lot of regurgitation of what was said here. It'll probably be a short episode, but we'll likely talk more at length about excitement about next season. So please, if you're listening, join in tomorrow night on Twitter at 9 p.m.
Awesome.
I mean
Thank
Tuesday.
you. Tuesday, yeah. But anyone else got anything they want to get out before we sign off on here?
No, I'll just give one big plug for everything that this group does. Again, joining what was RIFC Nation and then growing what is now Tide Talk, has been, as impactful, if not more, like personally, than what happened on the pitch this season. Just becoming, collaborators and more importantly, friends with you guys has been incredible. And
I like it a lot better than talking by myself. At least having other people to
Matt,
talk to.
one of these days we have to do a throwback episode. Matt just talks directly to the camera. But no, I know that this team is, obviously we're all excited for a little bit of an off season here, but we're not going to stop. The minute the news drops about the roster updates, any signings, we have a lot of very interesting ideas for the off season, which you'll hear more about. So please stay tuned to both TideTalkRI.com, our social channels. Obviously, you guys all know where to find us in the Discord, but we're really excited to continue this, to grow this, and to, keep being hopefully a really fun part of your Rhode Island FC experience if you're ever listened to, read something, or just interacted with us at all. So.
Well said. I think that's a good note to end it on as well. So that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for daily social media content. Click that link in this episode description to follow all of our accounts. I've been your host, Matt, for Ryan, Andrew, Timmy, Kevin, and Matt Hands. Thanks again for joining. Thanks for sticking with us for 90 podcast episodes, however many blogs, and all the social media posts.
We wrote 130,000 words or something like that, and just since June or something like that. So incredible stuff by the team.
Crazy. So thanks for sticking with us through all that. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the tide.
Up the tide.
Up the tide.
All right.